Exclude drinks industry from alcohol policy planning, UK campaigners have urged. I'm going to read into this more from The Guardian, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Guardian with the headline, "They're excluding drinks industries from alcohol policy planning. UK campaigners are urging." The drinks business accused of interfering with past efforts to reduce harm as alcohol deaths hit a record high. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share us across social media so others are notified of this video. So I just want to take a step back here take a step back on this a little bit. So obviously the harm that alcohol is causing, and it says here obviously the deaths have reached a new record high. That's obviously very terrible. It's very tragic that anyone is dying of alcohol overdose or drinking too much in any way, shape or form, and those who are addicted to it. Obviously my deepest sympathies for those who have lost loved ones as a result of alcohol, drinking too much alcohol, and those who are suffering from addictions and it is causing disruption to their lives. My heart goes out to you. But I also want to be pointing out is that while yes, drinks businesses may have allegedly interfered with past efforts to reduce harm, I also have to say you cannot ignore the 14 years of austerity that has not played a factor into the part of this alcohol death record high. You cannot not ignore that people's lives have become worse off, that people are turning to alcohol as a means to keep them together. There are many people who are literally not living but are trying to survive, who are trying to survive every day, who are trying to make it to the next day, trying to just get to the next day. And some of them are turning to alcohol as a means to help them get over that. Obviously, I would say they shouldn't drink, but for some people, they need to. And it's understandable that, and I say it's understandable, even though it's wrong. It's understandable people turn to alcohol when life is getting tough for them. People need an outlet. And for some people don't always have that outlet. Some people don't have something that will get them out of their problems, and alcohol is one of their ways of doing it. Not saying it's right, or not saying it's fair in any way, shape or form, but when people's living standards have gotten worse, and we know that people's living standards in the UK have worsened over the last 14 years, it sadly, this does not surprise me that people have turned to alcohol as a means to try and keep them sane, to keep them going to the next day. I've spoken before about like the homelessness crisis, and when you give money to the homeless person, instead of that person going to buy food or whatever themselves, they turn to alcohol or drugs, and they do it to keep themselves sane. Not saying it's right or fair in any way, shape or form, but that's what some do. So it is not just a case of the drinks industry and alcohol itself. It's a society problem. We have to help society. We have to help the communities that need help and build communities that have been broken. That it's just as much a social issue as it is just an alcohol issue, and I think that's really, really important to highlight when we talk about this, you guys. So ministers are being urged to exclude the alcohol industry from helping to draw up plans to reduce drink-related harm because of its past interference with such initiatives. The plea from public health campaigners comes soon after deaths directly due to alcohol hit a new record high of more than 10,000 fatalities a year in the UK. 10,000 fatalities a year. That's terrible. I hate to do the maths on that. Like, of how much is that a day? How much of that is an hour? I would hate to do the maths on that. If someone wants to do it, they're more than welcome to, but 10,000 fatalities as a direct result of alcohol. Drinks manufacturers and industry funded groups such as Portman Group and Drinkaware should be kept at arm's length because of their desire to maximise sales involved in serious conflict of interest, according to the Institute of Alcohol Study think tank. Dr. Katherine Severi, the IAS's chief executive, said, just like tobacco companies, alcohol companies have a long history of disrupting and delaying health policy, which is why the World Health Organization advises governments to protect against undue influence from the alcohol industry. Alcohol companies, trade bodies, and industry-funded front groups should be treated in a similar way to the tobacco industry, with all interactions a matter of public record and discussion limited to implementation of policies that have been developed in the public interest. Severi pointed out how the Scottish government was unable to introduce minimum unit pricing of alcohol for 5 years after a legal challenge by the alcohol industry. The IAS and public health experts have drawn up new guidance to advise the government on how to deal with the drinks industry. It recommends that ministers minimise interactions with the industry, do not form partnerships with it, and ensure good governance processes exist to minimise the risk of alcohol industry interference and obstruction of health policy objectives. If followed, the guidelines would mean that the government departments would not collaborate with the alcohol industry on health promotion campaigns such as Drinkaware, Drink-Free Days initiative in conjunction with the Public Health England, and would forbid educational materials as it has produced to be used in schools, like those provided by the Talkabout Trust, formerly known as the Alcohol Education Trust. Yeah, I'm not... Yeah, I'm not... I'm sitting kind of on the fence because I understand why they don't trust them. I understand why they don't trust them, but at the same time, some people can rightly argue in the chat how these drinks away and whatnot have helped make a difference to people. I'm sure there's some people out there who will disagree with this idea. We'd also see the Commons Health and Social Care Select Committee no longer taking evidence from groups such as Drinkaware, the Portman Groups, and the British Beer and Pub Association. Senior figures from these organisations attended an overall hearing with the cross-party group of MPs in February during its inquiry into preventing ill health. The bill for alcohol harm in England alone comes to an estimated £27.4 billion a year as a result of the NHS treatment. Lost productivity and other costs, the IAS has said. Labour in opposition warns the drink industry that it had to do better at preventing its products harming consumers. Last year, Andrew Gilliland, the public health minister in the new government, voiced concerns at the self-regulation of marketing practices, another of the key issues highlighted by the IAS. He said if there's an industry that are advocating self-regulation but at the same time incentivising higher risk drinks through placement and advertising, do not expect the next Labour government to sit on its hands. And I've issued this warning directly to them already. We are considering a wide range of different interventions, and if they don't shift, the Labour government will make them shift. Professor Sir Ian Gilmore, the chairman of the Alcohol Health Alliance and ex-president of the Royal College of Physicians, said over 10,000 people a year in the UK die due to alcohol-related causes, yet the industry makes profit from these products and is given a say on how they are regulated, priced, marketed, and made available. The fox should not be in charge of the hen house. The Portman Group rejected the ISA guidance. Matt Lambard, the chief executive, said, "This is a narrow-minded suggestion put forward by an organisation funded by a temperature movement, and it completely fails to take into account the long-standing tangible work of incentives funded by the alcohol industry in tackling alcohol harm, encouraging modernisation, and enforcing responsible marketing." For over 30 years, the Portman Group self-regulated system has effectively ensured that the industry has protected consumers from irresponsible marketing and partnership, working with the government to help ensure that the vast majority of adults choose to drink moderately, accompanied by sustained declines in underage drinking, antisocial behaviour and binge drinking. It added it is vital to listen to a range of voices on these important issues, and it would be counterproductive to exclude the expertise of the alcohol industry and self-regulating bodies which do a huge amount to encourage responsible consumption. I'm slightly in agreement that I don't think it's right to kind of push these to not have them in the conversation. I understand. I'm slightly in agreement with that these groups should not be excluded completely from these conversations, because at the end of the day, these are the industries. I understand the lobbying part. I totally understand that point of view. But these these industries need to be in the room at least. They need to be in the room at least. You can't have it for like, and here's the thing, I would be a hypocrite if I wasn't actually. I'd be a hypocrite because like I always said, like, you know, for example, like they don't want to talk to Just Stop Oil, for example, right? If you don't put them in the, if you don't sit down and talk to them about why they're doing what they're doing, you're not going to stop the strikes, for example. And it may not be the same analogy, but I don't like the industry, and I don't like what's happening in over the last 14 years. Like I said, the numbers of deaths. Yes, you could argue that businesses and companies have not done enough in terms of alcohol. That's a fair argument. You're more than welcome to make that argument. I think it's a perfectly fair argument. But to say that you can't, you cannot say to me that the increase in alcoholic deaths, that the increase of more people drinking, you cannot tell me this isn't in part due to austerity as well. The living standards of people have fallen under the Conservatives. This is different, and alcohol is the consumption of alcohol has definitely played a part in that. Is linked to it, because like I said, people will turn to alcohol because they don't have anything else. So I think that's an important point as well. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, there's a lot more questions than answers. I think the Labour government are going to introduce more tougher policies. I think they will. But I do think they will listen to what the lobbying groups are saying as well. Bear that in mind. They have said in the past about them getting tough. So I hope they're going to get tough on the alcohol industry anyway. But we will see how time goes on that, guys. But while this is a challenge that Labour need to deal with, there are many other priorities that Labour need to deal with as well. But enough about what I think. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about excluding drinks industries from alcohol policy planning? That they shouldn't have a say in it at all, that they shouldn't be at the table. I think they should at least be at the table myself, but what do you think? Let me know your thoughts and more about all of this and more in the comments section down below. If you found this video interesting, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.